Hello, hi there, hope you are well today. I'm at a slightly strange time today at 2 o'clock UK instead of 10 on Friday for weekly wildlife wisdom, and that's because I was out at a lovely creativity mornings event in Derby this morning, which was fantastic, but the storm that's battering the UK at the moment almost meant that I may not have been able to make this live today because as you know, we live very rurally, and the rivers have all burst their banks, and thank goodness I have a high car vehicle to come through the roads, which were very deep in water. So thankfully I made it back, but yeah, it was a bit frightening. Lots of people struggling. And it's still raining, although not as bad as earlier. But thankfully I am here, so that's why it's 2 o'clock instead of 10. And today's weekly wildlife wisdom, which you may already know, is Wasp wisdom. And that's all about waking up, among other things. So I'm going to explain what that means in a moment. But the reason that it is Wasp wisdom today is because I think I've probably mentioned this in other lives. There have been, I don't know how long it's been now, probably about 4 weeks, there's been wasps appearing in our spare bedroom. Thankfully it's our spare bedroom, and we initially thought they were coming in through our window frames because they're single glazed, and we have hibernating beings in our windows every year. Sometimes it's fruit flies, sometimes it's ladybirds, and we thought this year, oh, maybe the wasps are having a go. But what it turned out to be is that they are making their way out of our loft where we think there's a nest, coming out through the cupboards with the roof space where the loft meets the top of the cupboards, and then coming into predominantly, but not exclusively, this spare bedroom. And we've had a bit of literally a wake-up call, which has been really good actually, in the main, but also quite painful, because a couple of weeks in I got stung by a wasp. Sounds funny, but for those of you that have been stung, wasn't very nice. A poor little wasp, teeny little wasp, because a lot of them were very small, fell down my trousers. I was sitting on the toilet, and I think I must have picked up the toilet roll, and one must have been inside and fell as I'd got my trousers open into my trousers, which I didn't know about. And then I stood up, pulled my trousers up, and of course it squashed this poor little wasp who stung me. So it wasn't her fault. It's only the females that sting, by the way. But of course I was got the trousers out of the way, and this poor little wasp fell out. I think she did survive and went out the window. I was too busy shrieking. I think David took her out. And this was a really good wake-up call for both of us, because our initial reaction, we've never had this happen before. We've had wasp nests around, but not in our home. Our first reaction, as typically as humans, is we need to get them out. We don't want them in here. It's dangerous. It's not nice. But then as I obviously was thinking about that reaction, I also had a fear reaction to being stung. I've never been stung before. First time in my life I've been stung by a wasp. And the fear reaction was driving we just need to stay away from them. So initially we sort of just left them be. But then I was pondering it more and realised that actually it's an opportunity for us to help them. They weren't aggressive at all. They're not aggressive. There's still some coming out now. And again, as you find out when you connect deeply with animals, when you send them a loving vibration and a calm vibration, and what I do is I imagine in my mind's eye that I show them what I'm going to do. So they're going to come onto, I tend to use a piece of paper or a piece of card or a piece of wood, and I just show them stepping onto it, and they step on, and then I show them being let out of the window, and that's all they want. They just want to go outside. So we then saw it as an opportunity to be of service to them and to help them, because it's the windows that were stopping them getting out. And we humans like to have the windows shut when it's, you know, cooler anyway. And so opening the windows was the easiest thing to do, and then just escorting as many. So I think we've escorted probably well over 100, probably more like 200 wasps who've come either into our landing or into the spare bedroom outside. So then they can make their own choices about where they want to go and hibernate. And we know that once they leave the nest, they won't return to it. They don't go back to the same nest. So we know that that won't be a problem. So it's been a really good teaching for us. And one of the big teachings is what I mentioned, and the title of this weekly Wildlife Wisdom is wake up. Now, what do we mean by wake up? There's many interpretations you could put onto that. But what I'm feeling from the wasps is that, and I get this from most animals, they want you to be in the present moment. They want you to be connected to nature, to be connected to energy around you, to connected to what you're doing with your physical body. And my learning from the sting was, it was actually a good reason for it. I don't like the light in our bathroom. It's one of those old, we rent this cottage. It's one of these old fluorescent tubes, little circular one, and I don't like it because it flickers. So I left it off, which meant I couldn't see. And I think had I been able to see, I probably would have noticed her falling out of the toilet roll into my trousers. So it was a good thing about seeing, hearing, feeling, touching, tasting, using all my senses to be aware of who and what and where I am and what I'm doing and what influence I'm having on others. So waking up and being in that moment, so not thinking about something from the past, you know, that's bothering me, or nice memory or whatever it is, not escalating into the future, but being present in the here and now. And the wasps have been fantastic teachers of that presence, because you bet now when we go into that spare bedroom, we're looking, we're sensing, we're listening for the buzz, and we're doing what we can to serve them and to help them to get outside so that they can go and do what they need to do. And so it's been a really good thing. It reminds me of whenever I'm out in a country, rurally, when there's animals like scorpions and snakes and spiders that can seriously hurt you. And suddenly you become very present in the moment. I also remember doing some tracking once on foot in South Africa and in Botswana, and you become very present in the moment because there is a threat, potentially, maybe small, but it's a potential threat to your life, and boy does that make you wake up. So I feel that it's a really powerful message, and I know we can't stay in the present moment all of the time, because we do reference the past and we imagine the future. But I think it's about, in today's world, when we are absorbing everything that's going on around us, that we pay particular attention to our immediate circumstances and what our body is telling us, our intuitive gut feel on things. So when we're not sure about facts, information that are being shared with us, tuning into that. So I thank the wasps and the whole wasp nation for this amazing lesson that's still carrying on. I've just helped about another 20 or so out of the window since I got back. Oh, you're very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Now, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce Barb Techel. I'm sorry if I've just made an awful mess of pronouncing that, but thank you. You say powerful indeed. That's great. And welcome to everyone else joining. So, wasps. So it's about waking up, being present, but it's also about giving respect and equality to all species as well. Now, I see people killing flies, not really bothered because they don't sting, but I see people also getting aggravated and aggressive towards wasps and then wondering why they do get stung. And it's because, of course, wasps will defend themselves if they need to, and they will defend their nests and their young ones, as we would as well if they are perceived to be in threat. So I think we need to learn deeper respect for all species and to apply that into our day-to-day life. So that's that. The other part of wasp that I wanted to mention, just keeping an eye on timings for you, is that when you see wasps, and I like this, they're also a sign of abundance and fertility, because wasps are very good at growing their numbers and bringing in plentiful supply for themselves. So I love to see that. And although I've had a journey over the last few weeks of, learning to be much more present and getting over the fear of being stung again, because it does have sort of quite a primal response in your body when they fly around you after you've been stung, which I found to be quite fascinating. But it's important that we overcome that. But yeah, so this abundance and fertility when you encounter them is wonderful, and I love that. And also they protect what's most important to themselves when they need to. And so when if you notice wasps turning up a lot for you, or whether that's physical or in films or in books or in magazines that you're looking at, and you feel like wasps sort of showing up in lots of places, it can be a question for you to consider within yourself, the wasp part of you. Are you protecting what's important to you enough in an appropriate way? Or are you too protective, going into aggressive? And of course, aggressiveness is very rarely seen in wasps unless provoked. So if, for example, you attack their nest, they will collectively attack back. So it's a good question to ask yourself about balance. Oh, hello there, Royal Mandarin Art. Hello, I don't know your name, but it says, how lovely to see you live. Oh, it's lovely for you to be here. Thank you for being here. So are you protecting what's most important to you? And this can be about boundaries. So it's about saying no when you mean it and not needing to explain, and saying yes when you mean it and not needing to explain. And also just being clear on what is and isn't okay for you, so that you are asserting yourself, not being passive or aggressive, but being assertive in the middle and communicating clearly. Now, also, they're brilliant. Wasps are brilliant at building their homes. They take bits of wood, so they bite wood out of fencing or trees, and they mash it all up in their beautiful, very strong mandibles, and then they create wood pulp, and then they take that to their nests, and they build these amazing nests. If you've ever seen an empty wasp nest, they are incredible creations, true miracles of nature. And so they're also a positive omen around home moves, which is also very lovely. And building, and any structures that are built, in fact. So that can be around business or organisations as well. So it's a really good omen of noticing wasps around that area of your life as well. There's also, I'm not sure about this one, but I'll throw it in because it's curious. I read, I'm not feeling into this myself, but I read up on each species as well and see what other cultures talk about. Aside from my own cultural ancestry, which is Celtic. And there's an omen of an untrustworthy friend or colleague. If there are wasps in your house or your workplace and they are acting aggressively. Now, again, that depends on the circumstance. But if they are acting aggressively and it doesn't seem that there is anything that's been provoking them, then that's when certain cultures say that can be a sign of somebody coming to do you harm. That's where it comes from. To me, it feels more like a sort of a human one rather than a real connection into who the animal is. But I'll throw that one in. I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, if you have any experience or other information around that. I'm always keen to hear that. So I think that's probably about all I want to share. There is, as always, there's lots of other things. I wanted to share some wasp facts with you because they're always very fascinating. Did you know there are over 120,000 different species of wasp on planet Earth? Isn't that amazing? Just mind-blowing, as all of nature is. The largest wasp, as far as I can find, is the Asian giant hornet, and it is 5 centimetres long. So what's that about? That big. Ooh, deep respect and lots of space for those, but for all of them as well. Some of wasps are social. There's about 1,000 species of social wasps. And some wasps are, I don't know if that's right, delete that bit, I'm not sure. I have to check my facts on that again. And some are solitary wasps. So they lay their eggs in other insects, which is a bit gruesome, isn't it? But all part of nature. So they're called parasitic, and then their young hatch into the hosting animal, insect, and get eaten by the baby wasp. So in our human eyes, that's not very pleasant, but it is part of nature, and nature's ways to us can seem to be like that sometimes. I mentioned that only the females sting of the wasps that sting, because quite a few wasps don't sting, and they come in many colours as well. So that's really interesting, isn't it? They're not just yellow and black, which again in nature is a really good warning to say, stay away, be respectful. And if I'd had the light on, I probably would have seen the yellow and black before I got my rude awakening. So yes. So I think that's everything I'm going to share today. Let me just see. Oh, there's one last thing. There is a wasp that is called the fig wasp for obvious reasons, and it is the only pollinator of thousands of species of fig trees. Can you believe it? So without this particular fig wasp, we would never be able to eat figs. So there you are. And of course, all our pollinators are massively important, and all species are worthy of our love, respect and honouring. But it just helps sometimes to get a sense of just how important they are to us and why we need them as a part of balance on the planet. So there you go. I'm going to leave you in peace now to digest all of that about lovely wasp wisdom. Hopefully that may have made you think slightly differently about wasps. They do tend to get a very bad reputation for themselves. But I think with respect and understanding, as in all circumstances across all species, including of course our own species, it really does mean that we can live peacefully on this beautiful planet. So I hope that that's maybe got you thinking in some new and different ways, or has acted as a good reminder. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you to everybody who's been here live. It's been really great to have you here. Thank you to everybody watching the replay as well, because I love people coming by. I'd love to hear your comments and your questions, and I will be back next Friday. Where are we today? It's the 20th, so it's the 27th, back to my normal time, which is 10 a.m. UK time. So I look forward to seeing you then. Not sure whose wisdom it will be yet, but they always show, and I will let you know middle of the week normally. All right, lots of love, take care, thank you so much, bye for now.